Well, if the internet has anything to say about it, you better run for the hills and run for your life. Hello, I'm Dr. David Hawkins. I'm the director of the Marriage Recovery Center. And we have a slightly different position on these issues that we'd like you to consider. I want to talk to you about myths and misinformation about emotional abuse. You know, again, the internet is rife with the notion that narcissists and emotional abusers can't change. And you're going to be harmed beyond repair, and you need to just get out. But I want to share with you some different perspectives. And I think you'll find these different perspectives helpful. I have 3 myths about narcissism and emotional abuse that I want to share with you. The first is that some narcissistic traits equals narcissistic personality disorder. That's a myth. It doesn't. It doesn't. I see issues on a spectrum, and I often see men on a spectrum. By the way, our program is filled with men who are willing to come and participate. Oh, not so eager at the start, to be sure. Not so insightful at the start, to be sure. Not so aware, to be sure. Not taking ownership in a healthy way at the start, to be sure. But some narcissistic traits does not equal narcissistic personality disorder. And there are ways to discern how far along on the spectrum is this man, and what are the ways that we can intervene to determine if he can be treated and if there is hope. So, by the way, we have those means. We have questionnaires, we have depth interviews, we have ways of intervening and confronting this problem so that we have a better sense about whether or not he can be treated and how far along on this spectrum is he. So please consider the possibility that this is a spectrum disorder, as are most things. You can be seriously depressed, you can be moderately depressed, you can be mildly depressed. The same is true with narcissism and emotional abuse. He can be mildly abusive. By the way, any abuse is horrific. So please don't hear me saying, minimizing the severity of these issues. They're severe no matter what they are. But the possibility of intervention correlates with how far along on the spectrum he is. The second myth is NPDs are everywhere. Everywhere. And if you get on some forums and if you get on the internet and if you watch what's happening with articles in the news and so on, you would think that NPDs are literally everywhere. And yet our research, the bona fide research, shows that actually NPD is a very rare disorder. Those with all the criteria of NPD. This is very, very rare. And so we need to look on it that way. So NPDs are not everywhere. It may seem like they're everywhere, but they are not. All right, the third myth that I've already alluded to is that NPDs are untreatable and you should run. Actually, they're not untreatable. And I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should run or not run, because that depends on a number of factors. But this is a complex problem, folks. It's complex. It's not simple. It's not like, oh, okay, clearly you're a narcissist, untreatable. It's black and white. It is not black and white. I am working in depth with men over a long period of time. And typically what I see is progressive healing, progressive changes. If it's done very methodically, professionally, using best practices. All right, they're not necessarily untreatable. They could be. So I want to talk to you just a little bit about, well, then how do I know? How can I determine if indeed he is untreatable? Well, here's some questions for you to consider. Has he acknowledged his narcissism and emotional abuse? Has he taken responsibility at some level for it? At the minimal level has he been willing to participate in a program such as our core men's group? After that, is he willing to participate in the advanced core men's group? Is he willing to do a personal intensive? Is he willing to do a marriage intensive at the right time in the right way? Folks, the corollary to this is if he is deemed to be severely narcissistically abusive and emotionally abusive, and he won't participate in a program that is specifically treating these issues, of course, that's a dire prognosis. Secondly, has he demonstrated remorse and regret? Apologizing, does he have some ability to be contrite and remorseful? Not the temporary, I'm sorry, get over it. Now, most of these men don't know how to be sincerely apologetic. And that is a skill that needs to be learned. Empathy is a skill that must be learned. Third, has he sought to focus on changing only his behavior and not his mates? That's something that we emphasize in our men's groups. You are here. This is not a 50-50 deal. You're here to focus on 100% of your part. Fourth, has he sought to stop expecting any response from his mate regarding a change in her behavior? Number 5, has he stopped expecting forgiveness? Number 6, regardless of whether he intended to hurt his mate, does he acknowledge and apologize when told that he has? These are all very important signs. Number 7, and perhaps most important, has he dedicated himself to depth healing? From someone such as us at the Marriage Recovery Center who know about narcissism and emotional abuse and who will walk him through a course of healing. If he is saying to you, I'll do it on my own, I'll read the book on my own, I know what I need to change. He does not know what he needs to change. Covert emotional abuse is covert. It is subtle. It is hidden. Is he aware of some of it? Some of it? Some of it is in his shadow side. And my work is largely, our work at the Marriage Recovery Center is largely uncovering his shadow side. So will he dedicate himself to depth healing? And finally, has he dedicated himself to ongoing and regular counseling as well as participating in an accountability group? Relapse is part of recovery, and unless he has aligned himself in a program that will confront his bad behavior on an ongoing basis, this isn't one and done. This isn't come to 14 weeks core group and then you're done and you're out and you're cured forever. No, this is long-term counseling, depth counseling, rigorous accountability. All right. So again, what are we looking at? We're looking at how to overcome the myths involved with narcissism and emotional abuse. We want a comprehensive perspective, a balanced perspective that says this is a serious, serious problem. We will help you discern where is he on the spectrum. What level of intervention does he need? By the way, a little bit of emotional abuse is a lot of emotional abuse, right? A little bit of narcissism is a lot of narcissism. So we will help you discern this, discover it, and develop a treatment plan for it. But all is not lost. All is not hopeless. Step back, take a fresh perspective. Let us talk to you about the issues and let us help you answer some of those questions to decide, is he willing to avail himself of depth healing, depth accountability, and depth change. All right, take care.